Here we are given the cosine of an angle, and we're asked to find the tangent squared of another angle. You're given a lot of different formulas, a lot of different trig formulas, and one of them is the formula we can use for this. And in order to figure out which formula to use, you want to look at the angle of what you're given and the angle of what you're being asked for, and see the relationship between those angles. For instance, is one double of the other? Is one half of the other? I can tell you that 2 pi over 3 is half of pi over 3. The reason I know this is if you take this, you can either divide it by 2 to get half of it, or multiply by 2, or multiply by 1/2. And when you multiply by 1/2, when you're multiplying fractions, always first look to see if you can simplify, if there's something in the numerator also in the denominator. If so, that can be canceled. And then multiply across. See, in the numerator we have 1 pi, in the denominator we have a 3. So pi over 3 is 1/2 of 2 pi over 3. And that's why we're going to use one of the half angle formulas. Now, when you're using this formula, the first thing we need to do is figure out what is x. So x is what we are finding the tangent squared of. So it would be this pi over 3. So let's rewrite this formula, but everywhere there's an x, we're going to put pi over 3. And now let's simplify. What is 2 times pi over 3? It's just 2 pi over 3. So let's rewrite it like that. Now we're ready to substitute in what the cosine of 2 pi over 3 is. So we're going to substitute it in our numerator and also in our denominator. And now let's simplify. 1 minus negative 1/2. Subtracting a negative is the same as adding. So it's 1 plus 1/2. Which is 1.5. And then in our denominator, we have 1 plus a negative 1/2, which is like 1 minus 1/2, which is 1/2. So now let's simplify a little more. Here we are dividing fractions. So when you're dividing fractions, they both have to be improper fractions. So I first need to change this 1.5 to an improper fraction. Remember, you take that 2 and you multiply it by the big number. 2 times 1 is 2, and you add this number. So this is the same as 3/2. So this is 3/2 divided by 1/2. So when you are dividing fractions, you need to remember keep, change, flip. So keep the first fraction, change it from division to multiplication, and flip the second fraction. Now you can multiply. Anything that's in the numerator, that's also in the denominator. Remember, 2 divided by 2 is 1. That cancels out. So you just have in the numerator 3, in the denominator 1, which this is the same as 3. Now, as a side note, you could have changed it to decimals back when you saw that you were dividing fractions. If you don't like working with fractions, know that 1.5 is like 1.5 because 1/2 is 1 divided by 2, which is 0.5. And the denominator is 1/2, so that's 0.5. And if you were to take 1.5 and divide it by 0.5, you would have also gotten that same answer of 3.